Hey everyone, this is Mr. Isometric, and so far I've made like 53 satisfying animations. Some of them have millions of views and some of them don't. So recently I've made a video, and while making it, it clicked to me that this video could be turned into the most beginner friendly tutorial that I can teach you all how to make a looping short videos for Reels, for Short and TikTok if it is not banned in your country. So yeah, let's just get started. So the first thing that I do is gather the reference image. So I don't have the original reference with me right now, but I do have a frame render from my own video. So here it is. So as you can see, we are going to recreate this animation. And now let's go ahead and add a camera. So at the first, we are going to model everything. So for modeling, I like to have my camera in the view. And if we go to the front view, as you can see, our camera is not straight. So I'm just going to press Alt R and let's rotate it on 90 degree on the X axis like that. And let's move it behind a little bit. And now add the world origin. I'm going to add a plane. Let's divide our window into two parts. Let's make this as the camera view. Okay, there you go. I'm just going to keep that over there. So as you can see, my camera is already into the required resolution. So to change that, by default, it will be 1920 over here and 1080 over here. So you just have to reverse them. Just type in 1080 over there and 1920 like that. So make the values like this. And now the optional thing that you could do is you could go select your camera, go to the camera properties, and then if you scroll down inside the viewport display, there is a setting known as pass part out. Now select this setting and make it 1. You can even for some reason make it 0 if that's what you like. So I'm just going to keep it at 1 so that my main focus that I see on the left window is totally from the camera point of view and I don't see other things outside. So now I'm just going to scale it until my this behind vertex, like this to vertex, leaves the camera. So I'm just going to scale it like that. And let's just apply this rotation and scale. Now let's go into the edge mode by pressing 2. Let's extrude everything on the Z direction until it leaves our camera. Okay, and now we are going to add a bevel modifier. So you can also use subdivision surface, but I really like to use bevel itself. So I'm just going to keep bevel at over there. And let's add some segments, like make it 20 or some segments like that, and just set the shading method to smooth like that. And now let's go ahead and model our character. So let's go ahead and add in a cylinder. I'll just make our cylinder go up like this. So I'm going to model everything in proportion, and then you can scale it later if you want. The way I model stuff is very non-destructive. So I'm just going to make it something like that. Let's scale it up like this. Okay. Now it is important to know that I always apply rotation and scale. Sometimes it is just better to apply the scale. Yeah, so keep doing that. Now I will shade smooth this cylinder. And now let's go ahead and select the bottom edge like this. Press N and then increase in the edge data, increase the mean bevel weight. And now we are going to add a bevel modifier like this. And now inside the angle, change it to weight. So this method only works like it only applies bevel on the edges that are marked as bevel. Okay. And then we can increase it until it collapses at that point. And if yours doesn't collapse, if your goes outside, just make sure that you have clamp overlap turned on. And I'm just going to increase the segments. And as you can see that we can technically see the outer edge, but I also want to see how many faces it adds. So I have added this wireframe to my quick favorites. So I'm just going to go ahead and over here, as you can see this wireframe, you can right click on any settings in Blender and then add them to your quick favorites. And whenever you press Q, those stuff will be over here in the quick favorites. So if you turn the wireframe on, you can see your bevel amount. Now in the edit mode, if you disable this, you'll see that it is not showing anymore. So this icon over here, it displays the modifier in the edit mode. So I'm just going to decrease this so that it is kind of not a rectangle, but close enough to a square. So that is a good amount. And I'm just going to shade smooth again. Now you'll see that we have a little bit of a shading issue over here. So I'm just going to select this edge and we will actually bevel it later. So I'm just going to go ahead and not apply the modifier yet. I'm just going to select that face, make my cursor over there. Let's change our pivot point to 3D cursor, Shift D, and now let's rotate it 180 degree like this. Now in the edit mode, select everything and let's scale it down on the Z like that. And in the camera point of view, you can see that our character, it is coming together. So we are now making its head. So something like that. That looks good. So I'm just going to change my camera a little bit more. So let me just change my median point to median again. Let's move it up. Let's rotate on the X like this. And let's move it a little bit closer like that. Okay. So now let's go ahead and in the edit mode, let's select the top edge and let's move it up a little bit to get that head shape. I think this is better. You can tweak it more if you want. I'm just going to apply rotation and scale just to be safe again. And we are going to apply the bevel modifier. So now we have applied our modifier, and after doing that, it is good practice to select everything. And first of all, let's just remove that weight from both of them. And the second thing is to select everything and then press M and do a merge by distance. And as you can see, it removed 31 vertices, which is really nice. You should not have vertices on the same 3D space. Okay, so this is good. So this will prevent some artifacts. Now, as you can see, this shading issue, you can either go ahead and select this edge over there. And then I have in the quick favorite, mark sharp. It is available in Control E. If you press Control E, you will see that we have mark sharp option over there. You can click that and that shading issue just went away. But you can still see that there is a little bit shading issue over here as well. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to mark this edge as sharp and that shading issue is gone as well. And now, as you can see in this render, the edge over here is really sharp. Now this character, it looks like a pill, like capsule pill. So that's why I think I kept that sharp over there. But one neat thing you can do is you can add a bevel modifier like this. And now let's make it small, usually 0.006 or 0.005, 7, they work really nice. So if we just make that and let's add just 2 segments, this really looks good. So I'm just going to copy the modifier. So Control L and then copy modifiers. And now modifier is also copied to this one, as you can see. So this will just give a little bit of edge highlight, or you can say a crease over there for us to see. Okay, now the another thing is that we have to simulate the balls inside this animation as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this hollow. So let's just delete that face. And we are going to add a solidify modifier. There you go. We need solidify modifier above the bevel so that after solidifying it, it bevels itself. So I'm just going to make it something like 0.0066. Or I guess this looks pretty too thick. So I'm just going to remove that 6. Let's just decrease it till somewhere over there. So 3, 4, I think this is a good value. So you can like see in the wireframe. Okay, so this definitely looks good. So I'm really happy with it. So I'm just going to add the solidify modifier and I'm going to keep the bevel like this. And now let's go out The next thing that we are going to model is its eyes. So just roughly, if you hold down shift and put your cursor anywhere like that. Okay, so this looks a pretty good position for the eyes. So I'm just going to go ahead and now add in a sphere. So let's add a sphere, scale it down somewhere over there. Looks good. So let's rotate it on the X by 90 degree. Let's move it up. Let's move it a little bit forward like that so that it is almost colliding with the mesh itself. Okay, that looks good. And now let's go ahead and make our cursor over there. Now you can delete all of these things, like all of this stuff, but I think I'll just go ahead and select everything. As you can see, change my pivot to 3D cursor, and let's scale it on the Y by 0 like that. So now this will just flatten the face out like that. Okay, good. Now it is not troublesome, but you can always dissolve any close edges if you want. I also don't like that, so I'm just going to select that and move it just a little bit behind. Okay, so this looks good. I'm just going to go ahead and do a shade smooth. Again, over here, you can either add a bevel, which I didn't add by myself in that render. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it over here. So it will look much better than that render over there. So I'm just going to decrease the bevel amount like that. Let's increase the segment. And still, if you see a little bit of highlight over there, what you can do is go into the shading and harden the normals. So I don't know if you can see the results, but there is definitely a little bit of difference between those two. So I think I'll just keep it on harden normals. And this much bevel is really good. It's looking really nice on that. So now we need to mirror the same thing on the other side. So exactly for that, we have a mirror modifier. Now, as you can see, it is definitely mirroring it, but it is mirroring it on its origin, and we don't want that. So for that, we are going to select this capsule object. As you can see that its origin point is over there. So now after selecting that object, we added a mirror modifier. And now our object is over there. Now let's go ahead and model our hands. So for the hands, I'm just going to select the capsule. And as you can see, like this is the center edge over there. So let's just go ahead and add now if you don't see this single vert option over there, you need to go into the edit preferences, and then let me see, what do I have? So extra curve object and extra mesh object, these two add-ons, you need to enable them in the extensions. So Shift A, and then I'm just going to add a single vert. And now in the edit mode, if you go into the vertex options, I have now selected that one vertex. I'm just going to move it up. Let's change the pivot point like that. Okay, so my pivot is over there. So I'm now just going to go ahead and press E to extrude, and it is not extruding anything. Am I in the vertex mode? How do I tell that? Okay, now we are in the edit mode. So just select the vertex right over there, and then let's press E to extrude it. Now I'm going to extrude it specifically on this axis, something like this. This looks good. And now we are going to extrude it below like that. Let's go ahead and move it like this. Okay, this looks good. You know, usually hip is in the front like that. So I'm just going to move that vertex over there. Okay, this looks good. So now we are going to add a skin modifier to it. And as I said, my modeling method is very non-destructive. I like that method a lot. So we are now going to add a subdivision surface modifier with level 2. Okay, so now with the skin modifier, if you go into the edit mode, select every vert and press Ctrl A. Now you can shrink it down. You can control the thickness of it. And if you look over here, we will match the thickness, something like that. Okay, so the thickness now it it is good. So I'm just going to go ahead and press Ctrl Shift B and bevel this vertex. So if you press Ctrl B, it will bevel the face or the edge. But if you press Ctrl Shift B, it will bevel the vertexes. And I think this much amount, it looks really good. So I'm just going to leave it to that. Okay, so we have made the hands. Now we want to shade them smooth, but as you can see, it doesn't work. So for that, you need to go into the skin modifier and check this smooth shading option. And now let's duplicate that one, move it down, and we are going to make legs the same way. I'm just going to move it over there, and let's move it over there. Okay, nice. And now I'm just going to grab it and move it down. By the way, I'm just going to go ahead and dissolve the vertexes, and let's subdivide it again, and let's move it like that. So I'm just going to snap them to that vertex, and for the snapping, I'm using this snap function. So right now it is set to vertex closest one. So whenever you hold down Control, the snapping starts working and you can snap stuff like that. Okay, now we are going to move our leg to the floor. So let's move it down till over there. Now these are pretty long legs, so we are going to make it like that. You can also move your character down if you feel like your legs are getting way too big. But long legs actually are looking good. You know what? No, actually, I'm just going to move it down like that. Let's make it down. So this leg length is actually really nice. I'm just going to move it over there. And now let's go ahead and select everything and just move it down a little bit like that. Okay, good. This looks really nice. Now I can select the word, select that, Control Shift B, and let's go to that. Okay, good. Now we are going to readjust the camera a little bit more. So I'm just going to move it a little bit behind like that. Let's rotate it on the, you know what, let's just make the X rotation 90 degree a perfect forward facing camera. And let's move it down like this. Okay. Now this is making our character look really massive, which it is. I'm just going to tweak a hand a little bit more. So let's just take everything and pull it out like this. So that kind of looks better. Okay, this looks much better. And now let's go ahead and mirror them as well. So let's add a mirror modifier. And as you can see, it mirrored to the object's origin. So we are just going to select the body. Same over here, we are going to add a mirror modifier. And let's select the character's body like that. Okay. So that's it for the modeling part. We are done modeling everything. So in the next part, we are going to rig and simulate the spears inside that character. And yeah, for that, to stay tuned for that video, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and ring the bell notification icon. If you enjoyed or learned something from this video, don't forget to hit like and share it with people you think this video might help them. And the project files, after the whole animation is done, after the whole series is done, I will put a link in the description below of this project file if you want to check it out for free, of course, on my Ko-fi. So yeah, follow me over there as well. And yes, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Bye bye.